Hey guys, Ginger here. Welcome back to Bookmas 2020. I hope you have been having a good time here and at other channels. And so today I'm going to be talking about the books that I meant to read in 2020, but I never got around to. So this list is not really 2020 releases. This is backlist that were on my shelves that I had big plans to read that I never finished or never got around to. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into talking about some of the books that I'm embarrassed to admit I did not get to read. Starting off with two books that are in the same series, I actually had my grandma buy me these two books for Christmas and with full intentions of reading them in January and February, and we are now in December and I have yet pick these up. So we have The Wicked King and The Queen of Nothing by Holly Black. I also got The Crow Prince, which I have read, and I wanted to do a little reading vlog, finishing and reviewing the series. Yeah, but that didn't happen. I just have not gravitated towards rereading the first one and picking the series up, and so these have been sitting on my shelf, growing less and less interesting since I got them, and I feel really embarrassed about it, but maybe 2021 will be the year that I finish this series because it's been a long time coming and I really need to get onto it. More series, I guess. This is another continuation. I have The Great Hunt by Robert Jordan, the second book in the Wheel of Time series. Zach had me read the first book in the Wheel of Time series last year. It's one of his favorite series of all time, and I was meaning to continue on in the series this year and read the second book, and it's kind of just was really intimidating me, so I steered clear from it, and I really meant to get to it, and I just did not. But I have a couple series that I really wanted to start, and again, didn't get to them. The first one being the A Darker Shade of Magic trilogy by V.E. Schwab. I know that this one is more because I'm very intimidated that I'm not gonna like this because I have such high hopes that I'm gonna love it. So I'm kind of afraid that I'm not going to. And I had planned on picking this up early in the year, like March or so, I think right before the pandemic happened, and then I just didn't touch it again because I was not in a reading mood, and I knew that since I wasn't in a reading mood, I was afraid that it would make me enjoy it less. So I didn't touch it. I feel bad, and I really still want to read this series. It's one of my most anticipated of all time, and I've yet to read it because I'm just afraid, and I've also not been reading at all. So hopefully 2021 is the year that I get to this because I am just so excited for it still, and I just haven't picked it up yet. A favorite of Amber's, my friend. I feel really bad I haven't gotten to it yet, I'm so sorry. But The City of Brass by S.A. Chakraborty. All of the books in this series are done now, and I've yet to pick up book one. So I think I got this last year, and I've been really, again, hyped to read this because I've heard it's such a good adult fantasy, but I just haven't picked it up yet because, for one, it just seems really big and chunky, and for two, I just honestly haven't put it on any of my TBRs for the year. I have no idea why, I just haven't. So I really meant to pick this one up, but it's still sitting unread on my shelf, so go me being bad at that. I have Nevernight by J. Kristoff. I had full intentions of reading this for the Buzzword-a-thon with a night in it, and obviously I didn't get around to it. I didn't really do that well for that readathon, if I'm being honest. I read 160 pages of a book, and I'm still trying to finish a book from that TBR, which I might not. It's on this list, so we'll get to it. But yeah, Nevernight was another series I was hoping to start this year because I'm still anticipating it, but I just failed at that readathon and I never picked it back up. So we'll see when this one gets touched again. And this one I feel really bad about because it was kind of my persuasive pick for a book club that I'm a part of, but I have been neglecting that book club for months now due to my words are hard. What am I trying to think of? Due to my lack of interest in reading. again, hopefully December is different. Last month was way better for me. And, but yeah, that is His Majesty's Dragon by Naomi Novik. This was a book club pick for 2 months ago, I think. And I kind of just like didn't participate because I was like, nope, I don't want to read. And so I was really hoping to get to this one this year and start the series. But again, I just wasn't feeling like reading when we read this in the group. So I'm going to have to find time to read it on my own because I still really want to read it. I just kind of messed up timing wise with reading it with everyone else. Moving back to more failed readathon attempts, we have Night Film by Marisha Pessel. I, again, was planning to read this for that Buzzwordathon, and I did start it, but I'm only that far in, which is very not far at all. If I'm feeling ambitious, I'm probably not going to be that ambitious. I will try to read more of this in December, but I do have a secret TBR going on that I am prioritizing, so that might not happen till maybe like the week after Christmas if I get to it. I don't know. I'm not prioritizing it because this book is very thick for a thriller, and I wasn't really vibing with it at first, so we'll see what happens if I continue, but I still want to read it. I just didn't get a chance to read it in 2020. I honestly forget what this one was. I think it was around a contemporary-a-thon, honestly, or maybe it was the Reading Rush? I don't know. Anyway, I had A Man Called Ove by Frederick Bachman on one of my TBRs, and everyone was like really excited for me to get to it because Frederick Bachman apparently is like a very... Is it Bachman or Bachman? Please correct me. I always say Bachman. I don't know why. But he apparently is just like a very great author who writes really good novels, and so I had full intentions of reading this one this year and didn't get around to it, unfortunately. So I am hoping to pick up at least one of his books this year. I do own another one of his, which is My Grandmother Asked Me to Tell You I'm Sorry, and so I'm hoping at least to get to one of his books this year and finally see what that hype is about surrounding his books. And then the last 3 books on my list, I am actually very embarrassed to admit, are arcs that have since come out already. I was doing a pretty decent job with keeping up with my arcs, despite the fact that I didn't want to read, but these 3 were all kind of around the same time, and one of them I'm actually pretty, not that far in, but I have started it, and I took a break from it to participate in a readathon that I failed, and then I never picked it back up. So that book is actually The Return by Nicholas Sparks. Don't ask me why I requested this because I'm really not that big of a Nicholas Sparks fan, but I was like, it's his new book, so I think it'd be cool to get an arc of it, and I got one. And I have realized reading it that he writes really toxic male characters, at least in this one, and I feel like in The Notebook it's also kind of toxic. We can discuss that if you want to, but I'm not going to go into that more. But yeah, this came out in September. Yeah, September. And I, again, had full intentions of finishing it before September, and I didn't. So unfortunately, I haven't finished this one. I have started it, like I said. I'm not that far in, but it was going pretty fast, so I could just sit down and finish it, really. But I haven't, so I don't know what you want from me. Then we have 2 that are kind of like, what are they? Biographies written about other people, but they're like more like historical, not just about one person. So the first one we have here is A Brotherhood Betrayed, which is about the rise and fall of Murder Inc. Mafia stuff. I mentioned when this was on my TBR that I requested this because I had been playing the Mafia game, Mafia 2 specifically, and so this like really caught my eye. But then when October rolled around, when it was supposed to release, I was very much not in the mood to read it, so I did not pick it up, unfortunately. And then the last one I have here is We Keep the Dead Close, and this is a story about a Harvard murder and how it was like kept covered, I believe. And so again, this one was just like something I wasn't in the mood for. Like, a lot of times I'm interested in true crime, but lately I just haven't been. So despite the fact this one came out at the beginning of November, I unfortunately didn't get a chance to read it before it came out. So I'm not going to like be passing these on. I am going to try to read them in the new year, like early in the new year, but unfortunately I didn't read them by the time I wanted to, and I probably won't get to them by the end of 2020. That's actually a pretty big stack that I'm embarrassed to admit, and that's probably not even all of the books. Honestly, I could probably be like half of my bookshelves I wanted to read in 2020, which is true. I just feel like 2020 was a bad reading month for some people and a bad reading year for some people and a good reading year for some people, and I fell in the category of bad reading year. So I am trying not to like shame myself for not reading as many books, but I definitely do feel guilty that I didn't get to those books in 2020 with full intentions of doing it. And so hopefully 2021 is a better year and I can get to a lot of the books on this stack that I intended to read this year. So let me know in the comments below, what are some of the books you meant to get to this year but just didn't have time or didn't feel like it, and I am very excited to see what your answers are. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this installment of Bookmas 2020, and if you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button if you are not already to see more of my content. So thank you guys again for watching, and I will see you in the next Bookmas video. Bye!